Welcome to the Scaleup Valley podcast, where we bring the best founders and investors to help you scale a business from 1 million to 1 trillion. Today's guest is a very special one. Her name is Martina, the CEO of Triggy. Martina, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Mike. I'm so happy to be here.
Likewise, it's a pleasure to have you. And we had a woman CEO coming from Stockholm as the first episode of the year. So it's great to have you, Martina, representing the female CEOs in the show, and also with a company based in Stockholm, but you are actually based in the south of France, right? So great to have you here.
Yeah, correct. Well, amazing to be here and amazing to, just as you mentioned, be the first Swedish CEO for the year. That's great.
And yeah, for the ones who didn't have the privilege to get to know you yet, so let us know a little bit more about your story and your background before starting Triggy, or before being joining Triggy as professional CEO. Right?
Well, thank you, Mike. I've done something completely different before. Triggy, we're a B2B tech company, and we're active in the sports betting industry, working with operators, affiliates, media companies, and others. And before I joined Triggy 2.5 years ago, I've done 20 years within banking and finance. I've had various senior positions, such as I started as team leader within operations at NASDAQ, continued as management consultant, head of regulatory reporting, head of project management office. I've done agile ways of working at an entire bank, organizational change, and my last position within banking and finance was CMO. So many different positions, but I think my passion and strength has always been to work with a team to make sure that they can deliver in an efficient and also fun way, and be able to set up structures and processes and make sure that we deliver on goals. And right. That I've done in many different areas, which I truly enjoy.
And how did you see this transition? I know that sometimes we forget that even in large companies, you have smaller and larger teams and different cells. So you also can have the experience of working with a very small team and with limited resources in a large organization, but it's also always a different risk profile to come from a corporate established company and go join a startup as professional CEO. How did you decide to move into this direction, and how were you able to prepare your mindset to join a startup team?
Well, interesting question, and it's correct that I've worked in various sizes of organizations, but I think I realized after my 20 years within banking and finance that I've had it with the politics and the structures and long, decision-making processes, so I just had it. It was enough. Also working in really old organizations where my possibilities to develop were really limited, and I couldn't see my future in that industry. But now, of course, you're into a really interesting topic, taking the leap and joining a startup. Exactly. Or scale up as Triggy was and are. And I think as me and my career has developed, my thing has always been that I cannot say no to an exciting challenge. And meeting the founders of Triggy, it felt good in my stomach and heart. And even though it was a completely new area for me, I felt they have a really long experience from the betting industry, while I could bring many other of my knowledges that Triggy needed. So we felt like we were a good combination. And I just I love the quote by Richard Branson, where he said that if someone offers you an amazing possibility and you don't know how to do it, say yes and then learn how to do it.
Love it.
I love
Great
that
one.
as well, and that's always been my thing, that I have to say yes if it feels good.
Too good to not be able to say yes. I like
Exactly.
that approach. Then you figure out how to do it, right?
Exactly, learning by doing.
Exactly, and sometimes you even surprise yourself. So to a new opportunity that you never thought of, and that you are much better doing that what we were doing previously. So it is the perfect sweet spot for us, right? So
yeah, it is. But I don't know your experience. I normally like all the new positions that I've accepted. I normally come, you're like in your honeymoon phase in the beginning and you just love everything. But like after a certain amount of time, it may be like 3 or 6 months, something like that. Then I'm normally in a position where I feel like I've how do you say, I feel insecure and like, okay, why do I always have to push myself and do this? But then as soon as you're like over that hill, then it's just as you're saying, then you're starting to feel comfortable and really enjoy it again. But I think it's like every position I've had, I always come to a point where I'm like, but Jesus, I'm crazy that I always need to challenge myself and push myself. But of course, that's part of the fun.
And you joined Triggy in October of 2020, so during the pandemic, also an exciting time to join a Scaleup.
Correct, exactly, or especially a company within sports betting, where I don't know if you remember, but all sports were cancelled in the beginning of the pandemic. So Triggy lost all their users really like over a couple of days. So it was challenging times, but I think the founders made a really like impressive decision that we go. They had the shareholders believing and supporting them. So they hired me and we hired an amazing tech team and just kept on building Triggy even during challenging times.
Yeah. I think it's always interesting. We had several cases of this on the show of professional CEOs joining the founders, but it's always quite unique, and it's always a different story. So it's always good to learn from your experience there. But can you tell us a little bit more about the founders? What were the positions that you were playing, and what are the positions that they are playing now? After you have joined it, why they decided to invite you to join? So a little bit about the story of having a professional CEO joining. I think it would be also beneficial for other founders that are considering to invite or to consider to have a professional CEO coming, and also for the ones who are considering to join founders as professional CEOs, for both sides, right?
Yeah, of course. And I think that there are many founders that maybe after a while they realize that they are interested in focusing on certain areas of the company. The founders of Triggy, one wanted to focus on sales and strategy, one CFO, and one CXO, or like innovation and user experience. So they wanted to focus on the areas where they really enjoy and where they found their like strengths and interests. And while they had big plans for Triggy, and I think they were really wise that none of them wanted to be the CEO, and none of them felt it was their like key profession to like build a company in a structured way. So I think they were really like wise that, okay, we'll try to find someone who complements us instead. And I think that's always like when you build a team or a company, you should surround yourself with people that complements you or each other in a good way. So that was the reason for them. But of course, for me, meeting them, it was also, I know working with founders and entrepreneurs, that can be an experience from many perspectives. So for me, it was really important to like talk about what was the expectations of my role, what like, how much, how can you say, like freedom and charge would they like give me? Right. Would I be able to run the company, or will I only be their puppy? So it's like, I think it's like, it's important that you have those kind of discussions before, so you are clear on everyone's roles. But I think we are an amazing combination that complement each other in a really good way. But I both experienced and know of the exact opposite as well. So I think you should do your like, how to say, due diligence, both as founders, both as founders, but also as external CEO, to make sure that you get in a good place for you.
I think it's very good for both sides. Of course, when you are passionate, you feel that the chemistry is there, you want to move as quickly as possible. But if you don't establish the grounding rules in the beginning, and if you don't understand that really the product that you have and the team that you have might help you to become successful in the role, it's important to go through those stages before jumping in for both sides. So
exactly.
Really agree. And I also agree with you that it is a luxury for the founders and for the CEO to first having someone doing a job that they don't like, or a role that they don't like, and also for the CEO to have amazing founders that are super passionate about what they do and in areas that are critical for the company to move to the next stage. So and I would say even having founders, it's a different kind of commitment from having leadership team members, and in that sense I can see a big advantage. So they kind of brief the company because they've built it and they want it so much to succeed. Of course there are pros and cons, but I can see a great combination, and also a huge sense of relief for the founders to know, yeah, I don't need to know anymore a job that I hate or a role that I hate, which is to lead a company and take care of a lot of issues that I don't like to do, to focus, as I said, on what I'm more passionate about, and having a larger impact or an higher impact for the success of the company. You kind of introduced it a bit also, what is Triggy, but if you want to go deeper, more than happy to give context to the audience. And also you mentioned that Triggy is a Scaleup, but if you could also help us understand where it is in terms of the stage of growth, that would be great as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'd be happy to. So Triggy, as I mentioned before, we're a B2B tech company. Triggy was founded 2017 by the three founders. We are active within the sports betting industry. We have a platform where we combine data, odds, and user insights. The sports betting industry is a little bit, how would you say, like old school from a tech perspective. And we're working with AI and focusing on user experience to really make it simple for maybe a fan that have never placed a bet before to actually place a bet, but also for an experienced bettor to make even better bets in a highly efficient way. We're working with operators and affiliates and media companies, also sport teams. We do it on a global level. So we're live in Europe, Asia, US, and LATAM. We only in like regulated or gray markets that are going to be regulated. I mentioned our platform, and on top of that platform, we have three different products. We have a live score app that you can just brand and release in Google Play and App Store. It's an amazing marketing tool to build your brand, to engage your users, but also to find new users. And we also have a smart banner or widgets that you can easily integrate into your website. It automatically read what the article is about and always present relevant odds connected to that and the market that you're in. And we also have a built-in solution. So different products for the sports betting industry.
And I like the international coverage, so Europe, US, Latam, and Asia. And in terms of fundraising, is there any stats or any lessons that you'd like to share? I know that you also you are aligned with the current downturn, where investors are valuing much more companies that are capital efficient, that are able to have a plan to be break even, or even already to have a break even at the moment. So what are some of your thoughts about the fundraising and being capital efficient?
Yeah, that's a really interesting topic, and we're in the middle of it. Triggy has raised one time before, and now we are raising again. And this raise takes us to break even. I think that just as you mentioned, it's more important today to reach break even than ever before. Looking back just a year ago, it wasn't the same kind of market, but it now is for sure. We will get to EBITDA break even just now, cash flow break even in the end of the year, this year. And I think that that's of course, like racing. It's an interesting process that you learn many things from. Of course, you want to find like great strategic investors that can help you build the company in the best possible way. And I have to say that we have some amazing investors at Triggy that really supports us and help us. And being a startup scale-up, that's really important. You're working so hard yourself to do everything that you want to do, and having investors that support you and help you in that, you're just so grateful for it. So my advice would be to choose your investors wisely. But also reaching break even. Now we're with the first live score app we released like 3 years ago. We've had like since in the first 3 or 4 years, we spent almost all our time developing our tech. About 6 months ago, we released our second product, the smart banner or the widgets. And then, as I mentioned before, we hired an amazing tech team that has their background in NASDAQ. They have really developed our tech, making it highly scalable. And of course, they are super specialized in building systems that can handle big amounts of transactions and data in a highly efficient way.
That's great.
So we are like ready to scale, and when we're looking back, I just summarized last year, and we increased our revenue by 150%.
Wow.
At the same time, we cut our costs, streamlining the organization to get to break even as soon as possible. And we also more than doubled the amount of clients, and going into many new markets. So it's tough work, it really is. But we are super happy that we see the break-even point soon in front of us.
And great to see that you did all of that by even investing more on the product to be able to be more scalable, and also to add new product lines or new models that would be able also to increase maybe your ACV or your average revenue per account, or even your net revenue retention growing from existing customers more with the product. I think this is also a very relevant topic for current times, right? To be able to use the product, to leverage the product, to provide a better service to our clients, and even to serve them better, so they are willing to want to consume more of the product, and in that sense be able to pay more for the product.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's many now are focusing on the difficult economic environment that we're in, but I would say that there are many like positive things or possibilities with a tougher economic environment, because it really if you're an investor, like the companies, some develop and improve and are able to adapt to that and can really flourish during difficult times, while others can't make it. So I think that of course during more challenging times, the stronger and more adaptive companies are the ones that will go stronger through it.
Absolutely. So, but it's incredible how you were able to make your current team more productive by restructuring it, and at the same time still investing in the product and still achieving great revenue goals in terms of a growth of more than 2x the revenue, and also increasing the number of logos or clients. It's quite impressive for some of the founders and CEOs that might be thinking about doing that. So what are some of your tips to bring that clarity about what needs to be made in order to get closer to a cash flow break even? I enjoy the way you put it. It's a cash flow break even, which is different from a P&L break even. And cash is super important in any company, even more important than the P&L.
Exactly. My advice would be like, we invested a lot, or we put a lot of time to have efficient and scalable tech, and I think that is like it's how do you say, like easy to just develop new things, but then you build up this like technical depth. That makes you, or you become maybe slower and slower going forward. So I'm so impressed by our tech team that they are able to always work with this at the same time. That okay, we need to always develop and improve, but we always have to take care on the tech that we have, so we always can do things in an efficient way. So that's one part of it. But also in different phases of a company, of course, you need to focus on different things. We needed, as I said, we could like streamline the organization while we were like developing our platform and tech. Then we had to be more amount of people. While now that we are ready to scale, we don't need to be as many people on like product development and tech. We more need to, like, we have a great tech team, and we need to focus on sales. So it's different phases needs different kind of competences, and then I think you as a leader, you have to take those tough decisions and maybe change once in a while, even though it's of course tough, because you always like everyone that you work with, hopefully.
Absolutely. And you're talking about that you have a very experienced tech team. So did you hire it internally, or is it subcontracted or outsourced in a certain way? Yeah.
Well, our core tech team has always been employed by us. Like during tech and product development, I think it's super important that you can work close to each other and that you really work on the communication and like that you really have a tight team and teamwork. So that's been super important to us. Now, since about a year ago, we can work with external resources where our tech is more a copy-paste phase, certain parts of it. Then it's easier for us to let someone else do it. Yeah. But our core and our innovation, we always want to keep in-house at Triggy.
This is a good advice for the ones who are listening, because of course, being more capital efficient and achieving cash flow break even, this kind of decisions, it's nice, the advice that you are sharing, that keeping the core inside the company and then being able to grow quicker by outsourcing some components that are not so strategic, and that you need quality and speed to be able to deploy faster your products. It's a good strategy to follow, instead of just deciding, should we outsource tech or should we have tech all within the company. Also
I think it's a good combination. It also, besides that we can be more cost efficient, we can also be flexible, because maybe one or two or like a quarter we might have many clients to add, while another quarter we might be in a position where we don't, and then it's much more cost efficient when you can be flexible.
It's a variable cost instead of a fixed cost. Definitely makes a lot of sense. And I know that you are very passionate about leadership and about sustainable leadership, work-life balance, art versus mind decision making. Could you share a little bit more about your leadership style and what you believe in terms of leadership and leading your team?
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And just as you mentioned, this is like one of my passions in life. I think, like, coming from the background that I do, banking and finance, I felt once in a while where I wasn't in a position where I was that happy. And maybe with my manager, or maybe with the team I was in, or so forth. Instructor, so to me, like, feeling good in life and having a balance, that is something that is so important to me. And as a leader, I know that when I get those, when I can work in that way, I perform my best. So I want to give the same to the ones that I'm working with, because when you have balance in life, I think that you're long-term highly efficient, or you succeed in the long run. Winning situation where you set people under too much pressure during too long time, it will it's not a long-term solution. So I always want everyone to be their best, and I think if you work with a leader that works that way, you want to perform your best. And I think it has to be an understanding that in different phases of life, you perform in different ways, and then you need to live your life in different ways. When I had small kids, then of course, maybe getting home in time or being able to come a little bit later in the morning, that was super important to me, but I could still work really hard, or to make that up, I could sit in the evenings to do the things that I didn't have the time to do daytime. While maybe now my kids are older, and now I have a little bit more time, so I can give more to the company. So I think as a leader and as an employee and as a company, I think it's good to have a long-term perspective.
That's a great point, and especially in this kind of companies where it's super intense and it's an emotional roller coaster, to be able to also be able to manage the ups and downs, and sometimes I know by experience that there are some moments in the growth of the company they are so emotional that you might not be doing a lot, but from an emotional perspective, you are very tired, and it's also important to take your time and to rest and to recover and come back. So sometimes it's not also the amount of time that we work on things; it's also the intensity, the emotional intensity of those hours and of those moments, and the importance of the decisions that we are making for the company. And as you said, of course, also the relationship of what is going on at home and in our personal lives. Right?
Yeah, and I think it's always a matter of give and take between a manager, a company, and an employee. And of course, being a startup scale-up, your success is based on the employees. So and that's also like maybe you cannot. Maybe you cannot give the highest salaries on the market. So you also have to give other things such as flexibility, working from home, flexible hours, like getting like shares in the company and so forth. And you only want your the best employees to be happy and stay.
Yeah. Something also important is of course decision making in a context of uncertainty, and that's the case with any startup. But I would say with leadership in general and being a CEO of a company in general, you need to make a lot of decisions where you don't have data. But I think that's in scale-ups and startups, this is really in a lot of situations that's the case. So we need to make decisions without having all the context and all the data to support those decisions, right? And it's curious to see that I feel that you also consider your gut feeling, your art when you are making decisions, not just your mind. And I think that it happens to all of us some moments that our mind is telling us that direction seems the right one to go, but there is something wrong about that direction. But from a rational perspective, it is clear that that should be the direction. But from a kind of a gut feeling, art perspective, it doesn't feel right. It feels much better the other position, the other option. That's from a rational perspective, it doesn't make too much sense. So how do you handle this as a leader? I think that would be.
Well, I think it takes practice because we come from a society where we are taught to take the rational decisions, but just by living life, I've come to the conclusion for me, and I think the same applies to most people, that all of us, we just want to be happy, and if we are going to be happy, we have to start listening to our heart and our gut feeling, both in personal and business life. And I'm so impressed by entrepreneurs and leaders that can build amazing companies working that way, because I've really seen it, and I think you think that being a successful entrepreneur, you would like, how do you say it, like be really tough and hard and everything. But I'm so impressed by the people who've been able to build organizations being just modest, kind, and they build the culture just around how they are themselves, and creating such a company and such a culture. I think that's amazing to see, and also sharing their success and their revenues maybe on like charity and doing good. That is something that I think is more impressive than the highest revenue.
Yeah, and then the culture is definitely a big differentiator if you want to retain the best and be able to attract great talent to produce business results.
Exactly.
It is critical to have an amazing culture, and also to be flexible in terms of the benefits, as you suggested before, that you offer compared to other companies, kind of being more remote friendly, being able to integrate better life and work in different moments of people. And sometimes there are very simple gestures that leaders can do that have a higher impact. Sometimes someone is going through a difficult moment, and just telling them take 1 or 2 days to take care of it will be able to make it work without you during those 2 days. Please have your time and get back. Those kind of moments really are also able to conquer someone's art.
Exactly.
And of course, also doing that not because you want that, but because you feel that this is the right thing to do, and that's what you would love to other leaders do the same with you, right? So I really
Exactly,
enjoyed it.
and I think it's just as you're saying, it's so important in the culture of the company. But that's also that's how we at Triggy, that's how we recruited our board. That's how we work with our investors, our shareholders. That's how we work with our customers. We want to have a good cooperation, and I think you do that by starting it in the same way. A cooperation and sign your client, it should be something that feels like a win-win from both perspectives, because then you really make way for an amazing cooperation.
Yeah, and as a question of curiosity, we are seeing different options in terms of more remote setting, an hybrid setting, or an office setting at Triggy. Nowadays, we are seeing hybrid, remote, office policies. In terms of Triggy, do you have any kind of policy for the team?
Yes, or how would you say? I think before the pandemic, we had an office. We kept the office for quite a while, but about a year ago, we decided to leave the office because hardly anyone wasn't using it. And then we had no office for about a year, and joint office spaces and rented conference rooms and so forth when we felt that we needed it. But now we have decided to have an office again.
Got it.
And I think it's coming back to office and coming back to pandemic. I think I think it's difficult if you force your employees to, like, now you have to be at the office 3 or 4 days a week. I think it's still important that you rather try to work with communication and how do you say, soft, positive ways of trying to get the employees back to office. They have to see the purpose of being there. So we have an office and we schedule meetings and so forth, but we try to see when most people will be in the office and go out for lunch together and so forth. So we try to make it's something that you choose, not something that we decide for all.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. So let's go to the last segment of the show, where I ask you a quick question, and you give me, please, a brief answer. And starting with the first one, if you would have the opportunity to have a coffee with yourself when you joined Triggy, what advice would you offer to your younger self? 2.5 years ago, right?
That everything will work out. I know that was something my father told me when I was like 15, and you know, the teenager's problem, you feel like everything is so much drama and the end of the world. He always told me like it will work out, and that is something that I keep on repeating to myself. But of course, coming to a startup scale up, raising capital and being in a completely different position than I've been before, it's been more important to me than ever to keep on repeating that to myself, that everything will work out.
Right. And what are you the most proud on your journey so far?
I would say surrounding myself with amazing people. It brings me so much joy, but it also gives me the courage to continue challenging myself and believing in myself, because I have amazing people that's surrounding me.
Right. Worst advice ever received?
Oh, maybe worst advice. Maybe try and work harder. I think that you should try to put yourself in positions where you can be in a flow, where you are your best. Then normally things feel easy. If you feel that you have to work harder and harder and harder, I think that maybe you're in the wrong place.
Great point. I love it. So much, so much value there. And now the resources. Your favorite book, business or non-business, you decide.
Oh, you know, I do so much business. So on my spare time, I try to do or read other things than business. So I would say the Power of Now, which is like a more philosophical book, but still I have to say that it gives me, it learns me, or it gives me so much about myself, which like learn how to lead yourself. That's the best way of learning how to lead others. So I would say that developing and focusing on yourself, that's like the best thing you can do to be a great leader. And that's also, like, as I mentioned before, I'm also a yoga instructor, and you could say that that is something just you do to work out or whatever. But for me, that was like besides having kids, it was my biggest personal development, because I learned so much about myself. And it was also my best ever leadership course. Yeah, I try to focus on those things because it gives me so much also on the leadership and business perspective.
And favorite movie or series?
Series, I also try to not be that much into business. I cannot say just one. There are many different, and also different times of life. You want to look at different kind of things. Yeah, I cannot mention one that is a favorite. Sorry.
Sounds great. No worries. And finally, your favorite podcast, excluding this one.
Oh. Well, I would say also it depends on what I'm focusing on in life. But right now it's a lot of personal development. So I'd listen to a lot within that area, which I find really, really interesting.
Sounds great. Martina, thanks so much for making the time. All the best with Triggy, and you are always welcome to come back to share the progress and the next chapters of your journey.
Well, thank you, Mike. I'm super happy, and thank you for inviting me. It was such a pleasure to be part of the Scaleup Valley podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. And to our community, thanks for being there. We keep bringing you the best CEOs and investors and founders to help you scale your business in a much easier way. See you soon and keep scaling.